Well, boys and girls, ladies and gents, you are in for a treat tonight. Yes, we have a renewed and reworked version of a classic. So lay down your nativity scene blankets, put on your fake fireplace channel, pour yourself a glass of delicious eggnog, and tap those toes to the sound of Winterland Bliss, sung by the one and only indie bopper himself, the Godfather, Joe Jingleheimer Smith. On the first day of Nano, my writing gave to me 1,924 words and the start of a new story. On the second day of Nano, my writing gave to me another 500 words and the second act of an old story. On the fifth day of Nano, my writing gave to me an hour and a half of staring and 3 cups of coffee. On the 10th day of Nano, my writing gave to me why I can't find any word sprints at 2:30 in the morning. On the 15th day of Nano, my writing gave to me nothing. I got absolutely nothing. By the 20th day of Nano, my writing gave to me a very, 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 very long song, slightly, completely off key. I don't care what anybody says, it's 250 words that I just wrote for this intro, so I'm including it in my Nano count. You better believe that. I think it's time that we started our show. How about you? Yes, you better believe that it's time to go indie now. Hello everybody, and welcome to another Time to Go Indie Now. Thank you so much for joining us, and I sincerely apologize for my incredibly gifted voice and tremendous singing prowess. I know a lot of you were thinking to yourselves, okay, how could I be a musician after that, right? I mean, and you're probably thinking to yourself, wow, is there anything Joe can't do? I mean, that was brilliant, right? Okay. All right. Anyway, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of our show. We really appreciate it. And as always, like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already to our shows and our YouTube channel. We really appreciate that as well. It's really great to get some feedback and to let these folks know that you're watching what they're talking about, and if you've happened to read the book that's being reviewed or watch the movie that's being reviewed or watch the movie that's being featured, or you know the featured filmmaker, or you know anybody and you want to say anything, if Kristina's advice helped you out, if Courtney's tip helped you out, all those things. We love to hear all of that. They would love to hear all of that. So please do leave a comment if you watch it and take a look at what we're doing and absorb it. We'd like to know what stuck, and we want to interact. So please do so. All right. On that note, we welcome in a brand new contributor to the Go Indie Now family. He's actually featured very prominently in this episode. It kind of was by happenstance, kind of designed, very interesting that it happened this way. Mr. Michael J. Elliott. We welcome Mr. Michael J. Elliott to our family. His Dark Realm Diaries is going to permeate a dark corner in our little world here, and we couldn't be happier about it. He's a fantastic contributor. He's got some really great knowledge about everything macabre, everything, thriller-based. He's going to give you some great stuff, as he does with this first go-around here on our show. So we're really happy to have him on board, and definitely go check out everything he's doing after the fact, okay? He's an author. He's got a great YouTube channel called Dark Realm Diaries. And this is a subtle taste of what you can expect from him on his channel. So it's a really good indication of how good he really is over there. And I'm so happy to bring him on board and be part of our family. It's really nice to have him here. And as always, it's really great to have all of our contributors. We've got the great Jen Okubo, JD Estrada. We have a great coaching segment, Finding Balance, from Kristina Rienzi. And we also have another amazing marketing tip from CL Cannon. Unfortunately, this month, Julia Allen could not join us. We happened to bring in an old friend of ours, someone you all know very well if you've been watching our shows for a long time and been a part of our family for a long time. He's a big part of our family, and that's Mr. J.B. Taylor. He stepped in. He's basically my utility man, and I can't thank him enough for stepping in and doing that for me. And he reviewed a book by a contributor to our show, Mr. Michael J. Elliott. We have some great new releases. We have an awesome filmmaker that we're featuring. So definitely go check that out. And I'll be back at the end of the show, and we will see you then. All right, enjoy the rest of the show, everybody.
Hello, fellow creatives. This is Kristina Rienzi. I am a thriller author, writer, coach, and president of Sisters in Crime Central Jersey. And today I am here to talk to you guys about how to get unstuck in the writing process. This is the perfect conversation to have because we're in Nano right now. I know for one, I haven't done as much as I wanted to do, and much of it has centered around just getting into the couple things I'm going to talk to you about in a few minutes. And once I really sat down and thought about how I'm going to get through Nano and help others get through Nano, a few things came to mind and I want to share them with you. So what we're going to talk about is really the how, what, and why, your 3 tools to get you unstuck in your writing process, whether it's during Nano or any time of the year. If you're on a deadline or you just have a goal to get a story done by a certain date and something's holding you back, whether it's your routine, whether it's the story, or anything, just your motivation. So we're going to talk through that. So the first thing that I want you guys to think about is the how of your writing process, and that centers around your mindset. So how are you going to get this story done, right? That's all about your mindset. You want to make a commitment with yourself to do it. So obviously coming up with a goal date or deadline is important. And maybe you even want to come up with a word count that you want to try to strive for each day. Nano certainly, calculates that for us from a day-to-day process as much as the monthly process of writing for us. But in any project you're working on, what is your commitment going to be? What are you committing to? What goal, what deadline, and how are you going to commit to that? Is it going to be that you're going to write every single day? Or are you going to write 3 days a week? What's reasonable for you to do? What makes sense? What can you stick with? That's the commitment part. You have to be able to stick with it. If you do more, great, but you have to be able to stick with it. So your commitment is the first piece of mindset. What commitment can you make? Is it going to be a word count? Is it going to be hours of writing? Are you going to look at that on a daily basis, a weekly basis? Maybe it's just get it all done by a specific deadline. Whatever that is in your mindset, you've got to get your commitment down and write and be committed to it. The second piece of your mindset would be your confidence level. Just knowing that you have got this. You can write this story. The story is in you. You have all the tools and resources you need. You know what you're doing. You're a great writer. You've written before. You can write again. And even if this is your first book, you've written things before. Sure, creatively. That's why you're here, right? To work on this creative project. So the confidence is just believing in yourself. Believing in yourself is half the battle. If you believe it can be done, it can be done. And that's really important. So, you want to have the creative courage to go forth with your story. And sometimes, we may come up with ideas that we're not sure people might like, or is it going to be able to sell? And we have all these excuses why we're not doing it. It's too difficult. I have to do research, and all of that stuff isn't writing. So having the creative courage to just go forth with it, to just go for it and just see where it goes is part of the mindset. That's the how. The next thing I want to bring up is the what you're writing, right? Because that's really important to know what you're writing. And what I really want to point out around this is the message you're trying to send. So when you think about writing, there are so many things to think about, right? There's everything from the craft to the characters to the plot to all this stuff. But the most important thing is going to be the story itself and what message. Message is the second piece of it. First is mindset, then there's message. What message are you trying to send with your story? Meaning, what's your theme? So I want to explore this in 3 ways. So the first is going to be, what point are you making with this story? What point are you trying to make about life, about humanity? Like, what do you want a reader to walk away with? Well, what belief, what message, whether it be, just your position on a particular topic or what you believe the world to be, or maybe it's not what you believe, but you want to just make a point about this type of belief. So a theme might be something like, for example, in my book, Among Us, my theme was pretty much, don't believe everything you hear. People don't tell you everything you need to know. That the government has things that are secretive, and there may or may not be a good reason for that. And that's for you to decide as the reader. So it's like, what are you trying to say about the world? What message do you want to send? Is it something about love? Love conquers all. There's no place like home. Just anything that or the message you want to get out to your reader. Think about that. That has to be very clear, because that's the point you're trying to make in the story. And you want it to be a very specific point about life or humanity, something everybody can relate to, and that would be sort of like your overarching theme and what you want to, the message you're trying to send. And the second piece of that message, or the theme of the what it is you're writing, is who would be best to tell that story that you're trying to tell. So the characters, who is going to be able to play that out? That would be more around the plot. But if you think about, look, if I'm trying to make this, for me, for example, I'm trying to make this point about, don't believe everything you hear, question everything. And I know it's a government conspiracy story. And like, what kind of characters do I need to play that out? I need somebody who wants to expose the truth and somebody who wants to hide the truth. I want characters that are going to be at odds, so they're going to challenge each other throughout the story. So and I need somebody who knows the truth. So I needed these characters, and I needed to develop those type of people so that I could play out this theme that I had, this idea that I had about the point of the story. And so once you know what your theme is and what you're trying to say, you need to think of like, what's the best vehicle and the best people to do that? What does this plot maybe look like? You don't have to know exactly. And what are the kind of people I need, the characters I need to tell this story? What's gonna help me tell this story the best way that I know how? And the third piece would be the emotion, right? The emotion is your fuel to your story. So what do you want your readers to feel when they're reading this? That's really important. Like, do you want them to feel curious? Do you want them to feel scared? Do you want them to feel brave, empowered, loved? Do you want them to feel excited? What feeling do you want to evoke? Because when you know what that is, then that theme, what you're trying to say, the people that are going to make, help you say it the best way you can, and those emotions all come into play on the page. And if you know what that emotion is, you can make sure that every piece of your story hits on that emotion and that it's coming out, and your reader has an opportunity to feel it. So those are the 3 pieces to the message, the what of your story, right? It's the message or the theme. It's the point you're trying to make about life or humanity. What is this? Why are you writing this book? What is this book about, really? Really, what is it about? The emotion of it, and who's going to tell it best. Who's going to play this theme out for me the best in my world. And then the third piece to get unstuck in the writing process is really the why behind the story. So we know what you want to say. We know you know who's going to tell it for you best. You know what you want the reader to feel. You have the commitment. You've got the courage. You're all ready to go. Why are you writing this? Why is this important to you? Is the question to ask. So people say, write what you know. It's really write what you love. Write what we all know about emotion, right? Everybody knows about the human experience. So we all know what a story is meant to do, meant for us to escape, for us to experience life in a different way. So writing what you love is really about what are you passionate about. So it's what you love. What are you passionate about? What are the things that just get you excited when you start to think about them? Like for me with Among Us, it was government conspiracy theories. I was, really curious about what really is going on. Am I ever going to know? Should I know? Should I not know? Curious about it. It excites me. I like to learn about that kind of stuff and just try to unravel the mystery. And then, of course, as the author, you're able to create that outcome however you want. So that was fun for me. That's something I'm passionate about. Curious. What are you curious about? What do you want to learn about? What is sparking your interest these days? And it could be anything. And of course, as writers, we're all creatives and we think a million things are sparking our interest. And so that's why we really, what's important in motivation and knowing, why am I writing this story now? What's pulling you? What's exciting you? What's driving you? You know, it's not the story you say, well, I started this a year ago and I have to finish it and this is where I am and I just want to get it done. No, what is pulling you? What's driving you? What's making you get up every morning or stay up late at night to write? What do you want to spend your time on? And it's going to be something that you love, you're passionate about, and you're curious about. And that's where that motivation comes in. If it's something that excites you, it's going to excite the reader, and it'll keep you sitting back down in that chair and writing that story. So, and of course, if all else fails and you're still stuck, you have the right mindset, you know what your message is, you know what your motivation is, but you still feel stuck, because that can happen. For sure, we're human, and lots of things called life get in the way. Really, the simple answer is just try. Just get in your writing chair, lock the world away, and see what happens. I bet you, with a little trust in yourself and your creativity, that magic will happen on that page. And once it starts happening, it doesn't stop. It'll keep flowing. And so, if you're not sure, about any of the other things I mentioned, you tried the mindset. I'll go over them again. It's the how, the mindset, your commitment, your confidence that you know what the story's going to be, your creative courage to go there. The what is your message, the theme. What point are you trying to make about life and humanity? What are you trying to say? Or anything. What point are you trying to make? Who's going to do that best? Who's going to tell that story best for you? Who are your characters? How is it going to be played out in a location, in a particular time? What's that sort of overarching plot look like? Not every little piece, but what does it kind of look like that would best tell your story? And what emotion are you going for? What do you want the reader to feel? And then finally, your motivation. Why are you writing this now? Why now? Is it something you love? Is it something you're passionate about and you're curious about? That's where that inner motivation is going to come from. You can have all the mindset and the information that you need, and those are all external drivers, right? But you need that internal driver, and that internal driver is your motivation that comes from your passion and love for what it is you're writing about, and love to be a writer, and your love for story. And so, again, all else fails, just sit in the chair and go for it. Just see what happens. You might be surprised that you'll come out with your next best novel. It could be a bestseller. It could be a great American novel. It could be the story you've always wanted to write, but you're never going to know if you don't sit down and try. So that's it for today. I want to give you guys a little bit of inspiration and motivation and coaching around the writing process. We all get stuck. Certainly I do, and I just want to help you get unstuck. Right now, all you have to do is go forth and write your next best book, and you absolutely have everything that you need to do that. And so just go forth and do that, and I'll be looking out for that when it comes out. You can find me at KristinaRienzi.com, and if you are so inclined, I have a Facebook group called Write Life, WRITE Life. It is where we have creative coaching and inspiration, and we just connect. So if that's something that you'd like, please join. We'd love to have you, and good luck.
Hey guys, C.L. Cannon here from Fiction Atlas Press, bringing you another marketing tip. Today I want to talk to you about something that you should be doing with every new release and with every big promotion that you do for your books. And that, of course, is tracking your data. And what do I mean by tracking data? I mean things like if you ran a newsletter ad that day, or if you had a book bump feature, if you had some aggressive Facebook or Amazon ads going on, if you had a blog tour that day, or a certain big influencer was supposed to release a nice Instagram pic that day, or a feature on you, an interview. Something that is special or different from the everyday of marketing a book. The one thing that I really like to do is to record everything in a spreadsheet. Now, you don't have to use a spreadsheet. You can use Word, or you can even use a piece of paper if you want to. But I really like using Google Sheets because it's on the cloud, and I can actually download it to my computer if I need to. But I can access it from my phone, my tablet, my laptop, anywhere I am, I can get access to it like that. So it's really helpful. Like, what if I'm out shopping somewhere or doing something, and then I see somebody has a really, really nice promotion going on, but I can't remember if I've used them or not before. And I can't remember what results I had because it was a while ago or something like that. I can get on my phone, pull it up. Oh, they were great for my last release. Okay, let's book them now before all the sale is over, or before all the spots are filled. So you can see how sheets can kind of help you with the immediacy of some of the things that you'll come across. You can use all of the data that you store up over the years, over the months, or however long you've been publishing, and you can see what promotions worked for you, what days of the week they worked, because some days are better than others for promotions. Like, I know newsletters tend to do better during the week, but not on Fridays, because Fridays people go out on the weekend, and a lot of people are out and about, and they're not opening their newsletters or checking their emails often. So if you want something that's immediate, especially if it's only a 1 or 2 day sale on your book, you want to book it during the week, because people are more likely to open the emails on weekdays. But there are still promotions that do well on weekends too. So you just need to do your research and even play around a little bit with the different promotions that you can do and days that you can do them on, and see what promotions will work for you, what times they work the best, what time of year they work the best, because it's crazy how just little certain variables can change how a promotion works. But once you start tracking all this data, then you will have sort of a cheat sheet to go back and look at and say, hey, this promotion worked really well. And it worked well on a Tuesday. And hey, they've got a spot open this Tuesday, so I'm going to book that spot. And maybe I'll see similar data. But the one thing you really want to do is make sure you record that new data so you can say, hey, they are consistent. And they do work every Tuesday, and every Tuesday that I book with them has been consistently good. So I will keep booking on Tuesdays. And it can also help you find services that don't work for you. Hey, I booked this ad on a Wednesday, and then a month later I booked it on a Thursday, and neither day did good for me. And then I booked it on a Saturday, and the results were even worse. So maybe this company just isn't right for me and my book. That doesn't mean that they're not a good company. It just means that they might not be the best fit for your book, because you also want to research each company and see if they specialize in any genres. Like, you don't want to go to a romance sort of ad company and try to promote your Western book. I mean, unless it's a romance Western, you're probably not going to get great results because the genres are so different. But like I said, it doesn't matter where you record this data, as long as you do it. Now, you should do this for every new release, but you can also do it if you have a sale. So don't forget and kind of slack off and not record the results of your sales, because then you won't know what promotions work for when your book has been out for a little while and is not new and shiny. Okay, that's it for me today. If you have any questions, you know you can always email me at info@fiction-atlas.com, and I'll get to you as soon as I can. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this tip, and I'll see you next month. Bye.
author community. My name is Jennifer Zamboni, and I am from the boondocks of Maine, and I write urban fantasy set in Maine. Urban in the modern fantasy sense and not so much the city sense. Beauty is the Beast, Beast Among Us Book 1 is my first novel, and I just published it on the 24th of October. My premise of what I write is exploring what if there's truth behind all the fairy tales and the lore and the mythology and legends that you've heard, that there's some truth behind them. So that's what I explored in this, and how I ended up with a werewolf hairdresser as my main character, who is got some anger management problems. All right. So I'm going to read you a little bit from chapter 1, and it's titled Coworkers. What the? I bolted upwards in my bed, rubbing the dent in my forehead and glancing around for my assailant. The shrieking of my cell phone beckoned my attention to the floor of the opposite side of my queen-size bed. Freaking house, I growled. My phone had been plugged in on my bedside table, and just because I slept through, I checked the time and disabled my alarm. 15 minutes! I yelled, dashing around my room, throwing on black, slim-fitted jeans, a gray square neck tee, slapping on makeup on my face, and throwing my wildly curly hair into a French braid ending in a bun. Out in the sunlit hall, I ran into a slim, petite woman with sleek blonde hair, Lacey Marie. You look different, I said. Good morning to you, too. It's fake and bake. She spun in a slow circle. Check it out. I don't look dead anymore. She stopped spinning and thrust out one hip and planted her hand on it. You overslept. Yeah, that's not all that uncommon for me after a full moon, I huffed, rushing past her. I was thinking we could buy a spray tan booth, she stopped me. I glanced down at my caramel-colored arm. Not for us, for the salon. I mean, of course I'll use it too, but it would be great to get paid to own it. She did look good, especially compared to her normal corpse pallor, but she smelled like chemicals to my nose. You know you want the money. I grumbled at that, and we're supposed to use all of our free time spraying people with smelly goop. Have you noticed how busy we've been? Oh, come on, Lacey pleaded, clasping her hands and thrusting out her lower lip. Percy wandered down the hall, sticking one last bobby pin in her carefully designed updo. Tell her a spray tan booth is a good investment for the salon. Lacey turned her attention to our generously shaped 30-something Mediterranean friend, housemate, and business partner. Gretchen is right. We might experiment with a booth sometime in the future, though. Perhaps even hire a tech to run it. Percy, always our peacekeeper, found us some middle ground. Come on, Gretchen, Lacey pleaded at me. Please? Yeah, all right, money good, fake and bake good, I assented to make her happy. I still didn't like the idea of adding yet another odor to the salon. I knew I was more sensitive than most, but I didn't think I'd ever be a fan. I wrinkled my nose at the smell wafting from my friend. Lacey stiffed her shoulders. I did this morning, before you guys got up. Do I smell funky? You smell like something that crawled out of a hole and died, as always. Now let's go get some breakfast. Gee, you're such a good friend. I detect grumpiness. I'm going to prescribe a dose of non-cranky tea, a big breakfast, and there'll be no biting up the clientele. We want their money in the repeat business. Lacey shoved me forcibly enough to make me grumble. Normally, a shove from a woman like her, with her petite stature, wouldn't have affected me in the least, but Lacey is a special girl. And that's all I've got. That's my brief introduction of me and my book. Might want to see the cover. I hope you enjoyed that little opening snippet, and I hope you'll be curious for some more at some point.
Once there was a band, 3 people brought together by music. I brought my axe, Rachel brought her golden voice, and Scott brought the tunes. thought maybe my luck had changed. It did. It got worse. Struck by lightning. Dead for 3 hours, her mom killed right next to her. So you think after that, she'd take it easy? Wrong. You cheat death, you don't cash out. You double down. That lightning did something to her, I'm telling you.
You never did that before. There's a lot of things I've never done before. I keep 50% of whatever the band makes, and I want $1 million in marketing. Why don't we move somewhere a little bit more private?
Said she had mental problems, not magical powers.
Greetings, fellow humans, and looky, I got booky. It's been a while since I've been in this segment of GoIndieNow, but it's time. It's time to not only go indie now, but publish indie now. And this is my new book. This book is book number 13 that I've published. It's called Given to Fly. It's a middle grade fantasy novel about a boy who dreams about flying and a magical house called The Odd Manor. If you've read my Daydreams on the Sherbet Shore, you might have an idea of what's in store in terms of whimsicalness. But this is its own beast. This is quite different. This was a joy to write. It's a love letter to Pearl Jam, from where I got the title for the book. My favorite song by Pearl Jam is Given to Fly. If we could have an hour-long conversation of what my favorite Pearl Jam songs are, but Given to Fly is very up there. I never fell out of love with Pearl Jam, but there was a slight moment where I listened to them a little bit less, and then the album Yield came out. And when I heard Given to Fly, there was never a doubt that this was my band. And it completely solidified it, because it was exactly what I would want from a song. It's got this flying feeling, these thumping rhythmic drums, and Mike McCready, the lead guitarist who wrote the song, or the melody of the song, he describes it like a wave, and I feel it. Like, you know, there's nothing. Suddenly, the wave hits either the beach break or the reef, and it starts peeling, and it comes up, and it's a ride. And this was a ride. It took me, for such a small book, and I love this bind, by the way. It took quite a while to write, and it took quite a while to get the cover right. By the way, I must extend a huge shout out to Raftanga. He is the counterpart, the other half orange of a very good friend of mine whom I've known since I was like 7. Raf and Maria are really good friends, and actually the prologue includes a scene that's relevant to Maria's family. But that's another story for an interview or something like that. I spoke to Raf. I told him what I wanted for the cover. He read the book, and I sent him like this really crappy drawing, and he came out with this beauty. I've been very fortunate with the cover artists that I've come in contact with. Raf definitely brings something really special to the table, and I couldn't ask for a more beautiful cover that captures the essence of the story. It's a story about a boy who dreams about flying. He moves to the Pacific Northwest. His family has to go through life, and he finds out that his house, this new house, is not magical at all, and it's because magic is next door at Odd Manor, which is the house that is pictured here in a tree above the cove. This book is a love letter to Hayao Miyazaki, it's a love letter to Pearl Jam, it's a love letter to Elbow the band, it's a love letter to Tori Amos. It's a shout out to Travis Meeks, the lead singer of Days of the New, who's not had the easiest of lives, but whose music I really enjoy. It's a love letter to two of my favorite restaurants in Puerto Rico. It's a love letter to Mom, it's a love letter to my wife. It's a love letter to a lot of things that mean a lot to me, to the comics that I grew up reading, which are manhwa, Hong Kong comics called Jademan Comics. There's a lot of me in here, including nods and Easter eggs to books that I grew up loving. But it all started with this. My wife one day asked me about an image that means a lot to me, and I told her, without thinking, without batting an eye, the image for the single Forgiven to Fly by Pearl Jam. And she proceeded to get this hardcover notebook for me to write the book. It's one of the most beautiful gifts I've ever gotten in my life, and I put a lot of me into this book. It's been a really special experience, also because I worked really hard to not include any violence in this book, and that's really important to me. We live in really odd times, and I want something that will let you to go to sleep with a smile. I wrote a book that I hope is some kid's first favorite book. I wrote something that I hope Puerto Rican kids read and they go like, oh, that was written by a guy from Puerto Rico. Not a British guy, not an American guy, but one of us. I too dream about flying. And being indie, it's heavy wings and it's a rough go. But every opportunity I get, every person who gives my books a chance, everyone who reviews, every event that I do, every interview that I do, every little bit of success helps me get this much closer to flying. So, by all means, you can pick this up, you can let me know what you think, and I hope that you dream about flying. So until next time, it's always time to go indie now. Peace, love, and Mikey Roll.
That bird is just like me. G'day, I'm horror author Michael J. Elliott, author of Portraits of Dread and Choice Cuts, A Bite from the Dark Realm, as well as being the host and creator of The Dark Realm Diaries, a YouTube channel for horror and thriller fans. And a big thank you to Joe Compton for inviting me on to read a little bit to you from my latest novelette, Final Harvest. So let's get started. He was sweating, despite the chill in the moonlit night. He wiped his brow with the sleeve of his flannelette shirt. As he tipped the body out of the wheelbarrow, he grunted. A chorus of crickets seemed to voice their disapproval. The body hit the dark, loamy soil with a soft thud. It was dwarfed by the massive trunk of the old tree. The youth's sightless eyes seemed to stare up at the enormity of the tree. A lone beetle, searching for nocturnal nourishment, explored the inside of the young man's mouth. It could find nothing edible and left the orifice for pastures greener. The man stared down at the youth. He had stopped feeling guilty about the murders some time ago. It didn't matter to him that they were someone's son or daughter. He didn't care that somewhere someone was sobbing over a missing brother or sister or loved one. The pact was the only thing that mattered. An owl hooted its agreement or its displeasure. The man slapped his cheek. It was strange that mosquitoes always seemed to be more prolific around this tree. Most insects preferred to live near the old tree, the nasty kind. The wasps, the millipedes, the gnats, and the like. It was almost as if they sensed in the tree a kindred spirit. From the ebony-coloured soil came a wet, squelching sound. The body moved slightly, as though it still contained a semblance of life. It wasn't a miracle. It was something just as powerful, but something dark and evil. The soil began to churn. Blind earthworms weaved to and fro, suddenly thrust into the midnight open air. They instinctively headed back to the safety of the soil. Thick roots began to snake free of their confinement. Like the worms they had disturbed, they blindly began inching forward, searching for the nourishment. They had sensed that there was life before them. A fibrous root touched the dead youth's chest. It recoiled slightly. A few seconds later it surged out again and reached. Sensing no resistance, it inched forward, draping itself across the dead man's chest. The roots acted like a human nervous system. A signal had been received and then relayed to them all. The root system began to move. Two thick roots broke free. They manoeuvred themselves under the body, tipping it backwards like a bulldozer. Smaller roots began to cover the front of the body, wrapping it up like a mummy's organic wraps. Soil rolled and grew like waves at sea. It began to cover the body like some macabre automatic burial. Slowly, inexorably, the body descended into the soil. It would slowly decompose and nourish the tree. It needed constant nourishment. The man looked up towards the topmost branches. "How many?" he shouted. "How many more before you give me what I was promised?" The leaves rustled, despite the complete lack of any wind. A few of them fluttered down, landing on the spot where the body had just been lying. He glanced at the leaves. They began to move, as if being carried on the backs of invisible ants. They seemed to maneuver themselves in various positions. Some stopped, others continued to move in their progression until they had reached some predetermined destination, known only to them. The man looked down at the leaves, trembling fearfully. They had spelt out one single word. 4. Thanks.
Hey everyone, it's JB Taylor, back at you. It's been a while. I was asked recently by Joe Compton to review indie books for his show, and I readily agreed because I'm always happy to help. Taking someone's spot this month because they couldn't do it. My first book that I'll be reviewing is by Michael J. Elliott. So let's get to it. So, this story is about a debt owed. It's very unique. This guy wants something. He wants something really, really badly. And the only way he can get it is to satiate this very wicked tree's appetite for human bodies. I mean, who the hell thinks of that? Except Michael J. Elliott, which is why I love his books. I mean, come on. It's absurd, but in a brilliant, brilliant way. The opening scene, I mean, right off the bat, this is another reason why I like Michael, is because he doesn't sort of ease you into it. He just punches you in the throat, and I like that. Don't treat me tenderly. Punch me in the throat. Yeah. And right away, you have a body being dumped and a wicked, wicked retrieval process by the tree. And I won't say any more on it because you have to experience it for yourself. Right off the bat, I knew, man, I'm going to like this story. Because if it starts off that good, certainly it can only get better. Now, this is a novelette. It's like 54, 55 pages. So it's very, very difficult, especially for me, to review books like that. Because I equate reviewing novelettes to writing a blurb. It's very, very hard to say just enough to pique your interest without giving away too much. You know what I mean? So it's very, very difficult. But what I will say is that the pace never really lets up. You have the darkness, you have a bit of a love story, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know why it would be, but the reason why I kind of doubted that a little bit is because you don't really see romance and flesh-eating trees. But it is a bit of a love story. Rebecca Jonesy, who also reviewed the book, said as much, and I have to agree with her. I won't say why, and I won't say how or any of that, because again, it's a novelette, and I can only tease you, which I hate to do. I want to gush about a book. I want to tell you everything I like about it, and I just can't with this because it's just not possible. But from the onset, the story starts off on a high note, a very Maccabee high note, and it continues forward. The characters are very well fleshed out. The story is unique, which is difficult to do. It's really a very good story. Now, there were things that I didn't like about it, specifically the format. I'm used to longer paragraphs. I'm used to less indentation. There are different styles of writing. There are different styles of formatting that go with a certain kind of story. That there's a deeper art to it that I don't know about because I have my style and I'm lazy and that's good enough. Not to say I'm lazy with my writing. I don't want to delve into the deeper art. It took me forever to figure out how to write how I write. So that's good enough. But in saying that, it only graded me for just a little bit. Like with any author that maybe you aren't familiar with their work, it takes you a minute to pick up on their style. And also, if it's been a minute since you've read that author, you have to readjust yourself. And once I readjusted with my thinking and my reading with his style of writing, I picked right up on it, and it was smooth sailing after that. There weren't really any grammar or spelling mistakes that I picked up on. Michael did a really fantastic job with this. He kind of spoiled me with his Christmas story, and how the ending of that story. He pretty much hit a home run with the twist. So I like the way this just ended, but comparatively speaking, not as big of a home run, but still really good. But it's suspenseful and it's stomach churning and it's awesome. It's fantastic. It's really hard to make grim material, dark material, macabre material entertaining because you have to do it just right or it's going to come off as cheap thrills, like a B-movie horror film, But Michael knows how to walk that line. I can't wait to read and review the rest of his work that I haven't already read. I'm JB Taylor, as you know, or you might not know, and this has been my review. I hope I managed to intrigue you enough. And until next time, peace.
So, I had mentioned last month that I was going to bring something a little bit left field. I haven't reviewed hip-hop, and there are a lot of indie rappers out there, but I wanted to bring you something different, something mellow, something happy, something with good beats, something with a female MC. And I found myself with Noname's album, Telephone, which is from 2016. It's a great album. I was purposely looking for something different to share here on GoIndieNow because I like musical variety. I like exploring different things. I like giving new things and new acts a try. I saw some artists and they was like, yeah, what up? Then I listened to this album, which has that 90s vibe to it. It's got R&B, hip-hop. It's nice, it's smooth, it's fun, it's smile-inducing, and I think this is great music to like cook to or get up in the morning, like, it's gonna be a good day. The entire album, Telephone, for me was very, very pleasant. I'm gonna skip to track 2, which is called Sunny. If you see this, it's got a vibe, a bit of Imogen Heap, or Bjork, but hip hop. I like beats like that. I like creative beats. I like listening to things that sound familiar and new at the same time. And definitely, Noname fits the bill. Like I mentioned, many of the bands that I find, indie bands that I find, are on Bandcamp, and it's just been such a great website to come into contact with. I've found instrumental music, I've found cello music, I've found punk music, I've found rock music, I found good 90s flavored hip hop that makes me smile. And if you see a playlist from me on any given day, you're gonna see that something like this wouldn't be out of place. I like variety, I preach variety, I think variety is a wonderful, fantastic thing. And I wonder what we would write if we would have this on. So I don't know, I might give that a shot. But for now, I'll just enjoy the beats and recommend that you do the same. You can find the band, probably I'm gonna send a link. It's gonna be in the description somewhere, and the album is called Telephone. There's another album by Noname, but this is the one that I think is really, really solid for what I like. The other one is solid too, but I'll leave that musical discovery up to you, because that's part of the fun. So until next time, enjoy the beats, have a good one, peace, love, and mock your rolls, and remember, it's always time to go indie now.
Mississippi, kiss me till I drown. Everybody think they know me. Don't nobody really know me. Here with him a little ways from now. Empty. Everything we ever was empty. Empty fucking cussing. I know I'm your bitch.
Hello everyone, this is Okubo for GoIndieNow film reviews, and what I have for you today is something interesting. And it's not a new film, it's an old film, I would say. It's a 2004 film, and I think when you think about science fiction and you think about time travel, basically you're gonna think Back to the Future. You're gonna think all the things that can happen that can go wrong, all the world-changing events. But as I make my own films, I always want to strive to be original, and very few films that deal with time travel are original. So that's where this film comes in. The film is called Primer. It's a 2004 drama thriller. It's a little bit over an hour long, and basically it was directed by Shane Carruth, and you'll see him there. He did a wonderful job with this film, and before I get to some of the more exciting points about it, let's talk financing. And as people think, oh, it takes a lot of money and a lot of effort to make a movie, and there's indie authors out there and indie filmmakers who are doing it for the bare minimum. But yes, it does take money to produce something of good quality, and you're going to hear this a lot with people saying like, how much did it cost to film, how much did it cost to film, and how much did they get back? And I'm here to tell you that you can make a film for very little money. You can make a decent film for very little money. This film only cost $7,000 to make, and it grossed back almost $1 million, but the quality of the work and the acting at $7,000 was great. It was amazing. The script was wonderful, right? So here we go. You have tech people, tech engineers who are build computer products for other companies to use, right? And the two in the top tiers build something that they discover is like time travel. I'm not going to spoil anything more out of that, but needless to say is that they get into some issues with it, but it's taken into the point of view as the normal person, the mundane, not the sci-fi scientist trying to go back and kill Hitler kind of thing. It's more the let's see how normal people would be able to do something with this, and that's the allure of this movie. It's taken into that account. So here's the trailer. Check it out.
You're talking about making a bigger one. You're talking about making a bigger one. Welcome back. So, as you saw in the trailer right there, you were able to see a lot of the practical effects that they take into account, a lot of the one camera angle kind of view, and you get that feel of it being more down to earth. And on top of that, you get the feel of it going along with regular people and what they would actually do. You get these questions on Instagram and all on social medias. Which one would you rather take? A pill to live forever, to be invisible, to be super smart, stuff like that? Well, this is that question answered. What would you do with time travel? You as a normal person, what would you do with it? How would you handle it? And everyone always jumps on the bandwagon of doing this without seeing the repercussions of what they're actually doing. This movie has a great ending, a great build-up for that ending. And I think it tests the boundaries not just of humanity, not just of our own individual worth, but of our relationships that we build with each other, our friendships that we build. So please check it out. I know it's an older film, but I wanted to stress here the point of you can make something great with very little funds. And that's what this film does. So go check it out. It's called Primer. It's a 2004 film, so it's out everywhere. You can most likely get it on Netflix. You can probably get it on Amazon. You can probably get it on any live streaming service, or you can go out and rent, if you still rent the DVD. Alright, you guys have a good one. This is Okubo for GoIndieNow.
Hello, I must be quick. Master Joe has allowed me out for a few minutes so I can catch some rats and dead birds and so forth to eat for another month. But I've got something special for you. Hi there, Go Indie fans, and also if you followed me on the Dark Realm Diaries and you're here, great, nice to see you, Dark Realmers. Well, today, because it's all Go Indie now, what I thought I'd do is give you a list of some awesome indie horror films that you really must see before you die. Okay, now to qualify for this list, they weren't allowed to be produced by any of the big four or more studios such as Sony, Universal, MGM. Any of those, they weren't allowed to be produced. And these movies have all been produced either by film boards such as the Canadian Film Board, Irish Film Board, Mexican Film Board, or independent production companies. So we're going to get started with our list right now. Now, first up, we've got a movie by Guillermo del Toro. Now, before he went to Hollywood and made Pan's Labyrinth and all those wonderful movies, he did a really, really creepy job with a film called Kronos. And it's about an ancient artifact that grants the finder eternal life. And it's like a little sort of locket, but then it sprouts legs and it pierces you like a spider. And it takes over an old clockmaker, and his grandson gradually watches him change, and the visual effects and the horror is just superb. It's everything you'd expect from Mr. Del Toro, and it's so worth watching. It's freely available on DVD and Blu-ray, and I urge you to check that out, especially if you're a fan of vampire films, but you want something a little bit different from the standard, like Bite, Go Away, vampire hunters. This is one for you. Next up, we have one that's known by two different titles. A, it's sometimes called Full Circle, and B, it's sometimes called The Haunting of Julia. Now, the reason it's called Full Circle in some circles, in some countries, is because it's based on the book by contemporary horror writer Peter Straub, and he's a contemporary writer, and he's done collaborations with Stephen King. And this is just wonderful. It stars Mia Farrow as an American businesswoman who, after the death of her daughter, she leaves her husband and she rents a home, and she starts hearing strange noises, and she's convinced it's her husband Magnus, who's a bit of a control freak, trying to get her back. But there are the ghosts of children, and this movie is just wonderful for its atmospherics, its tension, and there's a great mystery wrapped up in this. Just when you think you know who is doing the haunting, or what the ghost is trying to say, it turns yourself on its head. Wonderful movie, great direction, great cinematography, and a brilliant performance as ever by Mia Farrow. And also Tom Conti too, I might add. So that's available on DVD and Blu-ray. Check that one out for yourself. Now, if you really love a good psychological thriller where the movie just leaves you wondering what's going on, and I mean that in a good way, then you're going to love Goodnight Mummy. It's an Austrian film, and it's all about two boys, and when their mother comes back from having cosmetic surgery, she's in bandages, and the boys start to think or believe that this woman really isn't their mother. She's a stranger. And just when you think, yes, they're right, no. Oh, hang on. And it's one of those films where subtle things happen, but they are chilling. It's a great movie, especially if you like getting involved in movies that are dark and have great character development, because the two young boys in this film are just superb. And even though we don't see a lot behind the bandages at first, the lady who plays the mother is just chilling, okay? You never know whether she's really the mother or not. Check that one out for yourselves. Now, out of all the movies on this list, this one, A Dark Song, has probably been the biggest review movie on my YouTube channel, The Dark Realm Diaries. At the time of recording this, it's had over 2,000 views, and I still get comments, even after a year, about how superb this movie is. And this is a wonderful, once again, a character-driven movie, and it's all about a woman who's lost her son, and she contacts a man who can help her contact a guardian angel, and she can ask one wish from this angel, and that is to see her son again. But they must go through this purification ritual, and it's dark, it's atmospheric, and secrets come out that make you go, oh my God. It's visually stunning. The performances, because it's basically a two-person film, and rather than it get boring, it has you on the edge of your seat wondering what this woman's real motivations are. Yes, she wants to meet her son, but you know, why? There's something more there. Will they succeed at doing the ritual? Will she meet her guardian angels? Check this out, because it's a wonderful British film, and it's done with such style and such panache that you will really enjoy this one. And the final entry on my list today for you is a brilliant psychological film called Twisted Nerve, and it stars Hywel Bennett and Hayley Mills. Now, Hywel Bennett plays a sociopath stroke psychopath. Now, at home, he's treated like a child by his mother, and his stepfather can't stand him and wants him out of the house as soon as possible. Into this, he's also got a younger brother who's basically shut away. You know, he has Down syndrome, and we don't talk about him or whatever. Well, on a trip into the department store, he meets Hayley Mills, and he becomes fascinated with her. And when he steals a toy, he goes into this mode that makes him seem as though he's retarded. And Hayley Mills takes pity on him, and that's the facade he uses to weave his web and do some really nasty things. Hywel Bennett is just chilling in this, and Hayley Mills, who is just wonderful, who truly believes that he is this mentally challenged young man called Georgie, okay? And I won't tell you any more that happens, but get ready. It'll make you jump. It's great. Okay then, well, that's my list. Now, they're just a few. I've got lots more, and I'll start making some more lists if Master Joe lets me out of the basement again next month, okay? But those ones should keep you going for a while. Now, you can find all those on DVD, and if you want to know more about them, such as the cast and just a plot summary, check out IMBD, which is the International Movie Database, and you can find out the stars, you can find out the production company, all those sort of things. It's great to help you get a better idea of the movies, because I don't have a lot of time to tell you about everything and each movie. So, okay, hope you've enjoyed that list. Let me know here at GoIndieNow if there's anything on that list that you've seen that you would yourselves recommend. And if I'm lucky, oh, hang on, there's a rat.
Finally, we're going to have the last segment of our last show of 2018 be a little different. So I wanted to take the time in this show at the end to thank everybody for everything you've done. Thank you to all the contributors out there. Thank you to everybody who participated in everything we did this year, and everybody who gave us something, everybody who we got to interview and talk to, and everybody who did a new release, which you will hear more about that in our next show. And everything that we've been able to do this year, it's all because you guys have been there and helped us out and just did everything you can to get the word out about us, and I really appreciate that. There's a lot more still to come, and there's a lot more growth we have to do. And I'm real excited about all of that, and it's really great, and I can't thank you all enough for standing by us and growing with us. It's really amazing. It's a really awesome thing that we can all do together, and I'm real proud of it. And I just want you all to know that that means the world to me. So that being said, we have such an incredible 2019 planned already. There's a lot of things we're going to be doing. Some things that we've done already that we're going to repeat from 2018 to 2019, and some new things. And we're always going to be doing new things because that's how you grow and you figure it out. But we're real excited about putting our foot down into things that we've done in the past too, as to say that this is a standard bearer for us and this is something we're going to always try to do. And so I'm real excited about that as well. We're establishing ourselves, and that's all you can do, right? So I'm real excited about all that, and it's been an amazing year. We have one more show for the flagship coming up in December. We have a great fandom forum coming up at the end of next week. That'll be episode 5 for us. We also have a second episode of Origins to follow right after that. And then I have a special Saturday show I'll be doing at the end of in between Origins and the Time to Go Indie Now episode, and of course the last Time to Go Indie Now episode of 2018 will be following that. So that being said, a lot of great things happening. We also have This Week in Indies going on. We're going to be doing a lot of things. I know we had planned on doing a daily show with Instagram, and it didn't work out, and I'll talk about that at some other time frame. It wasn't exactly what we wanted to accomplish, so we looked at it and said, maybe we should step back and figure it out, and that's what we're doing. But there is plans in the works for a lot of things, and to utilize other platforms as well, and move forward. So I'm real excited about all that. I'm real excited for you all to join us, and if this is the first time you've seen our show, thank you so much for being here, and I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed it enough to subscribe, like, and comment. And like I said, comment. You just watched a bunch of great segments from a bunch of great produced indies out there who are doing a lot of great things in their own right, along with doing what they do here at our show. So they want to hear from you. They want to know that what they said, or what the book they gave you, or the movie they gave you, or the information they gave you was something that you enjoyed, something that you can take with you, something that you cherish. If you have a question for any of us, please leave it in the comments. We would love to hear from all of you. All right? So with that, it's always time to go indie now, and we'll see you again next time. All right, everybody, take care.